No, the guy that's running it's just turned up now.
He's here now. He's up the top though. You're down the bottom. You're.
Oh, I know my place. I keep getting moved to the bottom. Don't worry.
Afternoon, people. How's your shower, Pat?
Oh God! Do you know what?
I was going to send one of my bath earlier.
If somebody asked me to do that, I couldn't do it. I
believe it wasn't you in it. That would have been even more embarrassing.
I know, but I was literally sending a message to this client of mine who's a plumber, and I don't know whether a message came in on the group, but I managed to send it to the group as well as the plumber. I did send it to the plumber as well. That was hilarious. I thought, God, I'm going mad.
No, you didn't ask the plumber who was the best adverse lender then?
No, I didn't. No, I didn't. He was really embarrassed actually, because when I spoke to him on the phone, he was telling me about this this place he was in that was a bit grim, and it ended up being the place that I was born in. You know, I said, "Don't worry, mate. I know he's a bit of a shithole." He said he was really embarrassed saying anything.
My wife works for a consultant, and she had a text from our daughter saying she was outside the door and she was bursting through a wee, and she sent a message back saying, "Just hold your legs together, you can hold it, I won't be much longer now." But unfortunately she sent it to the consultant by mistake.
God.
Oh dear.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can hear you, Robert.
Hi, Robert.
Good Christmas, Pat.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, well, it's different, isn't it? What about you?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, good. How's your man? Is he all right? How's Rob?
He's all right. Yeah, he's part-time. Really works Monday to Wednesday.
Right, nice. I mean, that's more hours than Robert works, though, isn't it, Robert?
Are you struggling with your technology?
Yeah, for some reason the kids have the new PS5 and it just drains the connection, and it's snowing up here.
Is that?
Yeah, it is here.
So I think I'm wasting my time, to be fair.
We can see you. It's all right.
All right. Well, that's frightening.
Plod on.
Well, you two are probably the two most northerly, so that'll be where we've got snow. What's it like, Carly Ann, where you are? Got any snow?
No, we had a bit, but it's all gone now. It's just freezing.
How are we doing for time anyway? Let's have a look. We'll give it a couple more minutes and then we'll make an official start. Did I see Donald was there? Yeah, Donald was there. That's all right.
Good afternoon, everybody. Sorry about that.
Who is that? Right, let's make a start.
I'll be back in 2 minutes.
Right, I don't know that I was speaking, but if you can mute yourself, that'd be better.
No, you're back now.
Oh, did we all get kicked off then, or was it just me?
Shall I start?
No, I am too.
Right. Yeah, let's just wait for everybody to get back, which I think they are, and then we'll make a start. Right, so Happy New Year, everyone. We've got quite a lot to get through today. As you can see, we've got Donald with us, or speak to us no doubt in a short while. The only face on here you probably don't know is the one who's on my top left, who is Nick Watkin from West Brom. Nick and I spoke, don't know, last year albeit not that long ago, but it was last year now. And he had quite a few interesting things to say in terms of the West Brom's proposition that I certainly wasn't aware of. So I'm going to pass over to Nick, and he'll spend 10-15 minutes sharing with you some of the information about West Brom. And then hopefully by the time he's finished, we'll have Rameez with us from Eligible, who will be going through some information with us as well. If not, then Donald will bring us up to date and Rameez will come on afterwards. So Nick, over to you. Do you want me to make you the host?
I can just leave it as it is, Steve. That'll be fine, mate. No problems.
Okay.
As long as I can share, can I share my screen with everybody or not?
No, that's why
No,
I'll
you
just
need-
make you the host. Let me make you the host. and then
Make
you
me
do
the
it.
host then, please. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Good. Brilliant stuff. Well, first things first, Steve, thanks for putting this together and in such short notice. And thanks to everybody for taking the time out of the busy calendars to listen to myself. We've got some really, really good things going on at the West Brom that I wanted to share with you. I'm the BDM for the Northwest, in effect. So I'm delivering the presentation today, but you still have on the ground support in your postcoded areas. So there are 6 of me, in effect. So I'm not taking on the whole world and looking after linear the account, but I'm delivering the presentation today. If you want to get in touch with me, by all means, you can do, but you still have the support in your local areas with your local BDM. So what I was looking to do, I wanted to go into some USPs straight away, maybe cover off a bit of temporary COVID policy, and then open the floor up to you guys to see if you got any questions. I do like to make these calls as interactive as possible. I know there's quite a few of us on the screen here, but if you do need or have any questions, please shout up, because I would like to make it as interactive as possible. So first thing I want to share with you is the West Brom affordability model and how strong it is in certain areas. And I want to show you that. And the best way of showing you that is sharing my screen and showing the affordability model live in action. So I'm going to try and do that now, and hopefully I won't cut you off. Right. Hopefully everybody can see that screen now. Is that all good? Is that all right, Steve?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
fine.
cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So first things first, don't concern yourself too much with the numbers that have input here. I want to try and get across to you the assumptions the model makes, which will show you how powerful it is. So don't concern yourself too much on the actual numbers inputted, but we'll fly through these. It's all pre-populated. So the loan I've put in is 150k, 25-year term, 2 applicants. There are no adult dependents. However, we've got 2 child dependents. I'm trying to make this as straightforward as possible. So put both applicants in as being employed, 1 on the basic of 30, 1 on the basic of 20. No other additional incomes. The only other sort of commitment here you can see is applicant 1 has the child maintenance commitment rather, £200 a month. These sections here have already pre-populated outgoings such as council tax, insurances, food, non-alcoholic drink. Again, don't concern yourself too much with those numbers. As we scroll down, you can see there's a credit card there with a balance of £6,000 on, so quite a sizable credit card. And we assume 3% of that, as you can see, £180 a month. And the maximum borrowing figure given is £200,000. Now, what I did when I first started with West Brom, I then sort of analysed the same scenario with your big lenders, Nationwide, NatWest, Santander, Halifax, and that £200,000 borrowing, max borrowing, was okay. It wasn't particularly sparkling, okay. So what I needed to do was understand where the tipping point is and where our strengths lay. So what I did, everything else stayed the same, but I started to play around with this commitment, this child maintenance commitment. So I made it £500 a month. So a significant increase on the original 200. Calculate the loan again. And it didn't reduce, which was good, but also I was a little bit puzzled with it because every other lender I was comparing this against started going in reverse in terms of their maximum borrowing. So I carried on increasing this. I thought, right, let's try 800. As you can see, again, it didn't reduce. So I thought, right, hang on a minute, so £1,000 a month. So I've increased that commitment by £800 a month now. Well, let's see what happens. calculate loan. And again, it hasn't reduced. At this point, I normally start getting calls from brokers saying, Nick, your calculator's bust. I keep increasing the commitments, but the borrowing's not reducing. I'm saying, no, it's fine. There is a tipping point, but you've not hit it yet. The tipping point is £1,200 a month from memory. Just let me try that. I don't want you to think I'm labouring this point. I'm trying to really get the how powerful it is. There you go. So when I've increased it to £1,200 a month, the maximum borrowing figure has started to reduce at that point. So let me just go back to 1,100. I think 1,100 is still fine. There we go. So you can see there, I needed to increase that commitment from £200 a month to £1,200 a month for it to start to impact on the affordability. And that's what I'm trying to get across to you. Where your clients have commitments, that's where the West Brom strengths lie. We at times we're sourcing really strong at the minute. So I think we may be number one, number two in some sectors and some products. A lot of the time though, you'll see us floating around maybe 6 or 7, but we can still do the lending that we need to do because we can lend that bit more to some clients and then price the products that bit more expensively. So we make the margin that we need to make rather than having to be super rate conscious with such as Nationwide, Santander and the likes on a day-to-day that we can't compete with because of the size that we are against those guys. What I want you to remember from this, please, whilst I've used child maintenance as an example, that could have been a personal loan, that could have been a bigger credit card, it could have been school fees, it could have been a pension contribution. It's the assumptions on how the systems work, where the commitments are there, we have real strength in now. First things first, have we any questions around that? Does it make sense? Do you want me to do anything else with that? I'll open the floor up now.
A bit concerned really that they can have quite heavy commitments and still borrow the same amount, as to whether, you know, it's affordable for them.
Yeah, I mean, all lenders use different affordability models, and we've designed this one that we're comfortable with. Obviously, the PRA are, as the FCA are. It's built into a stress test. It works, but it allows us as a lender, a smaller mutual, to do lending. It's a bit of a higher rate than maybe what you'd have to do if, well, let me put it this way. If you had a client that had an application, 2 applicants, no children, no debt, we'd like to lend to those types of borrowers. Of course we will, but that is super prime vanilla lending, and they'll chase the top rate on the sourcing systems. Of course they will. So we need to find our sort of sweet spot within the proposition, and it's just lending that bit more strong affordability at a margin that we like. And we don't have an arrears issue, far from it. The back book is very, very strong.
Yeah. Okay.
Any more questions around that affordability model?
No.
No?
No.
Okay. We'll stop sharing that now, and then we're all on the screen again. So that's the affordability model. That's a live example. So that shows you how strong it is. Second point is we have a maximum term of 35 years linked to affordability again. So 35-year term allows you again to stretch affordability out and indeed potentially meet your client's budgetary monthly perspective. And the final point I'm going to share with you is, I'll start off by saying I'm not trying to step on your compliance toes here, far from it. What we have at the West Brom, though, or what we use rather, is a maximum age of 75. What that means is, and that's assuming you don't tell us your client's going to retire earlier. So 75 maximum age. We don't need to see your clients contributing to a pension each month. We're not interested in that. We don't need to see any pension pot value that we're going to use for affordability. We're not interested in that. And we don't apply a 10 years in retirement rule like Virgin and Accord do. We're not interested in that. So what I'm trying to say is all self-employed and PAY income can be taken all the way up to age 75 without any pension proof whatsoever. The only caveat is, but this is where your compliance sits in, and you wouldn't do this anyway, is the role that they're currently in, they still need to be able to do that in their 70s. So self-employed steeplejack quite clearly wouldn't be applicable for this, but anybody in a HR role, admin role, sales role, they could quite teacher, GP, they could work till they're age 75, and we're comfortable with that. It's almost a mirror image of Santander's policy. So that is the affordability side of things boxed off. Has anybody got any questions around what I've just gone through there?
No.
No?
No.
All good. Okie dokie. Right. Next step is, or where we have a strength is our view and attitude to clients on fixed term contracts. Now, when we talk about fixed term contracts, I'm not talking about day rate contractors, IT workers, where they have a limited company. That's different altogether. I'm talking about really teachers, doctors, nurses that are PAYE, they're on a fixed term contract. So where the role is classed as professional, and professional in the traditional sense, teacher, doctor, nurse, solicitor, accountant, those sort of fields, we'll lend to them in their first fixed term contract without any fixed term contracting experience. So day one of their first fixed term contract, we'll lend to them. No fixed term contract experience required. Example would be a teacher. When they become a newly qualified teacher, invariably they end up on a term contract, a fixed term contract. We'll lend to them day one of that. They don't need to prove any previous fixed term contracting experience. If you get somebody that's a non-professional role, but in a fixed term contract, yes, we can still lend in that scenario, but what we need to do is then prove that they've got previous fixed term contracting experience in that field for at least 12 months. That's where it's a non-professional role, but professional roles day one will do. Now, just staying on the professional role theme, we'll also lend 100% against bursary and stipend income. So an example has been a guy left uni, started a bursary. He's going to be a mathematics teacher. The bursary was £26,000 a year. He started last September and applied to us in October of last year, and we lent 100% against that bursary income. And that's also the case for stipend income, where somebody's studying a PhD for 3 or 4 years, we'll lend 100% against that as well. So that's fixed term contract policy and bursary and stipend income. Any questions about that, guys?
So an IT contractor, you wouldn't consider they were professional.
Well,
Come under
so
your ordinary because fixed term, because a lot of IT contract they are on contracts, aren't they? So you wouldn't consider them professional in the sense you would a teacher.
Yeah, the way we'd assess those, invariably IT contractors will have their own limited company set up in the background. So whilst they have the contract, they're being paid gross through and then they put it into the limited company gets the income paid, and then they derive their income from the limited company. In those scenarios, we don't have a day rate contractor policy, so it would be 2 years accounts, and where we will do an average the divvies on salary for 2 years.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Any more questions around fixed term contract policy or bursary or stipend income? No? Okay. Right. Next point I wanted to share with you or discuss with you is clients with adverse credit. Is it fair to say that you see clients with adverse credit from time to time?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So we're not an adverse lender. I'm not trying to profess that we are. We're a building society. We're a mutual. However, we do allow certain elements of adverse credit on our core range of products. Now, what I'm being told is we're filling the space now with where Accord and Principality have pulled back from because they've tightened up their criteria. So I'm going to go through adverse criteria now. So it's one CCJ per application up to £500 is acceptable. So that's one CCJ per application up to £500, and that's in the last 3 years. So the types of, now it's always subject to credit score, of course. The types of clients that are coming through with recent CCJs, really prevalent to car parking fines at the minute, where they've picked up a fine, they're annoyed, they don't pay it, the best pal says don't pay it, they're trying it on, and they end up with a CCJ pretty quickly. They clear it, they want to clear their credit profile up. Our credit score is accepting that type of CCJ or that scenario. Every time I've been asked about it, they've been accepted. It's been minor and recent, a blip on the credit file, not a problem. So that's recent and minor. Now, if you get anybody with CCJs that are over 3 years old, there are no restrictions on the size or number. So an example of that has been 4.5 years ago, a client had a CCJ for £14,000. Now, there was some sort of life event where there was a bereavement or a marital breakdown, sizable CCJ. Over the ensuing 4 years, the credit profile's actually sort of naturally repaired itself, but there's a sizable piece of adverse in the background. Again, the credit score accepted that. So you can see there, recent and minor or sizable but historic is definitely one to worth considering before you go to specialist lenders. If you have clients with multiple lines of credit with arrears all over it, then I would imagine you're going to struggle on our credit score as well. So what we're looking for is just you know, a blip or something historic. Now, if you've got default or a client with defaults, our policy on defaults is that it needs to pass credit score, and that's it. However, what I also need you to do is look at the line of credit that's defaulted, because we do have a maximum status in the last 2 years. So in the last 2 years, status 1 and status 2 is acceptable. If it's hit status 3 or more, that needs to be over 2 years ago. So status 1 and 2, 1 month, 2 month arrear in the last 2 years is fine. Over a status 3 or more, it needs to be over 2 years ago. And then the final bit I'll touch on with adverse credit is debt management plans, IVAs, discharge bankrupts, all need a 3-year window of settlement or discharge. So that's a DMP, an IVA, or a bankruptcy discharge, 3-year window. Now, to keep everything neat and tidy, we're a soft footprint lender. So by trying a dip with us, it's not going to do anything impairing the client's credit profile going forward. Any questions around adverse credit?
No?
No, thank you.
Good, thanks.
Okay. Last thing I'll touch on, and then I'll open the floor up to any questions you may have. We're still using or accepting non-guaranteed income, bonus, commission, and overtime at 100%, but only for what we class as key worker status. Now, key worker status is broader than you'd think. NHS staff, of course, but police officers, prison officers, supermarket workers, Amazon delivery drivers, any HGV driver delivering fuel or food. It's broader than you'd think. If they can confirm that the key worker status, if there's any ambiguity about whether they are or whether they aren't, if their employer will write to us and give us a letter confirming key worker status and they've never been furloughed, we will still use 100% of that non-guaranteed income.
Right. So would that cover firemen?
Yes, very much so.
Yeah.
Very much so.
Yeah, yeah. So really, it's anybody who's still allowed to travel around then, isn't it? Who's got a badge to be a key worker. Because in certain occupations, outside of key workers like nurses, etc., they get a kind of badge to travel, don't they? Saying that
they do that.
You know, during
right,
lockdown. Yeah.
Yeah. Another one we've had though was a guy that was working for Virgin Media, office based. He's in quite a high profile role and he was getting an annual bonus and he just recently received it. And it was debatable about has he got key worker status or not. So the underwriter just said, look, if Virgin Media will confirm he holds key worker status, we'll use the annual bonus as normal at 50%. So they don't actually have to be mobile in essence. I get where you're coming from and that applies to a lot, but you could be office based in key worker status as well.
Yeah.
Nick, can I just ask a quick question? What about estate agents? They're not, I don't think they're key worker, but they're still working as normal. Would you consider additional income from them?
That's a good question. What I would do on that one, I'd actually go through to I've not been asked that one before. And you're right, in the first lockdown, everybody was closed, weren't they? The first lockdown, but since they've remained open. So I would suggest that if it depends what the role is. The branch managers probably weren't furloughed, however, some of the negotiators may have been. So we might have to dig a wee bit deeper in terms of what the role is and whether they furloughed or not. For instance, Connells did furlough some some negotiators and some mortgage advisors. So that would
Yeah.
be a tricky one. So you'd have to look at the particular role, but it's a fair shout, and it's one that I'd find out from on a particular case and approach an underwriter for you to see whether they're comfortable with that or not.
Okay, cool. Cheers.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Nick. Any other questions for Nick? No, you're welcome to stay with us, Nick, if you want, but we fully understand if you've got other things to do. Can I ask you if you can, top right of your screen, just change me back to being the host?
Oops. Top right.
Yeah. Top right should have a few little dots. You've got to click on there, stop being the host.
Stop video, open a profile. I can't find stop being the host, I'm afraid.
It's top right of Stephen's picture, Nick.
Oh, Steve.
Yeah, sorry, of mine, not of yours. Yeah, sorry.
Make host.
Yeah, that's
Do
it.
you want to change those?
That's great.
There you go.
Thanks very much, Nick.
Thanks, guys. Lovely meeting you, and thanks for your time again. Cheers.
No,
No worries.
brilliant. Thanks.
Thank
you.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.
Now, Rameez has joined us, but Donald, do you want to give us a bit of an update first, and then Rameez come afterwards?
Yeah, if you don't mind, I'll if you give me the hosting, Steve, I'll
Yeah,
just do a quick update.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no worries. There you go.
Right. I'm just going to do my share screen. I've got too many things open, sorry. Right, there we go, hopefully. Is that visible?
Yep.
Yep.
Certainly is.
So quick overview of December this is from Primus Network perspective. Very good month, extremely good month on mortgage completions and protection completions, which I'm sure many of you have experienced the same. And a pretty good month on the application side as well. That's 90% of the target that was set. That target was the pre-COVID target from way at the beginning of the year. So, you know, they're quite pleased at exec level of where they got to. And also on lapses have been much lower than they thought they would be throughout December. So all in all, a good month, and one that we saw replicated across Linear as well. This is my sort of year to date figures, if you like, which shows your gross applications versus net paid, and we've got the the same COVID tick, if you like, as the network had, where you had that drop down into March, and then for the remainder of the year. It paid through very well. And if you look at December actually became the best paid month that we had all year. So well done all for contributions and so on that score. Finished the year off really nicely. Hopefully with the business that's been written in that back end as well, you've got a nice pipeline going into January to see paying through. So what we got this year, Primus wise, in the first half is you'll see there'll be kickoff meetings advertised that you're all free to go to whichever ones you want to, if you want to go to any. This is where the regional sales directors around the country have a session for all of their AR firms to join. I think there are 6. And they start some next third week in January, but I'll circulate some dates for you. And as I say, if you want to drop in any of those, just feel free to do so. We've also got training scheduled in for first half of the year, similar to what was done in the last year, short sort of 1 hour sessions and so on, and various things. And I've got a separate slide just to give you a quick overview of what they look like. Usual thing with those, entirely up to you if you want to join any. If you want to catch up on them, most of them are recorded. So you go in via Lemonade if you wanted to pick on one and view any of them. Just my bottom bullet point there as well, we had a sales directors meeting yesterday in Primus, and they're looking at the potential of having Thursday sessions, given that we've gone into another lockdown. There was a sense that Monday mornings sometimes aren't always best. but Thursday mornings can be useful, a useful time to do a training session. So watch this space on that. And the last one, which we'll see in the coming month or so, Toolbox has been developed. So there's going to be a client portal within Toolbox that will enable you to interact with your clients, exchange documents, do online chat facilities, and so on. The plan is that they're going to roll that out gradually, so it's not going to be like a big bang, everybody gets it at once. I have put forward Linear to get it as soon as possible, and there may well be some training sessions, like drop-in ones, over the course of the next week or two that I'll publish around to you guys if you want to have a look. Thing with the portal, it's one of those things that it really depends how you use Toolbox and how you use it with your clients as to what use you may get out of it. And I think we'll see over a period of time, people will start to do certain practices with it and find it useful or otherwise. But it's a positive step forward. It's a good investment in the system, and it's a good secure way of exchanging stuff with customers too. So watch out for those. And just to give you, as I said, don't try and read all of these. I'll circulate something later on this, but it's just to sort of show you every Monday going through, the next few months, there'll be a session 10 to 11 o'clock-ish. It normally finishes about 11, and it's picking out various things like protection excellence, mortgage excellence, business protection, etc., etc. So lots of those there going on. So last part from me on this one, as we lead into Rameez doing a session on eligibles retain. I've highlighted this before about marketing, and I know what's evolved over the last year or so with lots of advisors is more soft contact, regular contact with customers, localized social media stuff, and so on, and having that sort of regular contact as opposed to once in a blue moon, I'll try and hit a customer and see if I can get some business from them. In order to do that type of thing, you've got the resource that does it for you. You can afford to pay for it. You buy it yourself. You do it yourself. So you put the time in. You've got the skill set to do it, and you create the material on your own. Or you employ marketing resource to do that for you at whatever scale you go on. What Rameez is going to show you is how Eligible's retain system can help you to sort of present yourselves, and your own name or brand, if you've got a brand that you use, automatically with plenty of visibility for yourself on what's going out, and very little for you to do other than pay a sort of a small fee towards how this gets delivered. So Rameez is going to talk you through that just shortly when I hand back. But it is, it's an important area. There are lots of people now fairly embedded into doing this type of marketing, and I guess I think everybody has a choice to make as to how do you want your customers to remember you, as once you sign them up. How do you then keep them on board with you, and at the time that they need you, that they know to turn to you straight away, as opposed to being attracted to some other supplier. So I will see if I can exit out of this and go back to hand this over to Rameez. So if I stop share and go over here. So, and before you launch anything, Rameez, I'll do an introduction, because we've got two audiences on here. So obviously we've got the advisors that are with Linear on a permanent basis, but we also have advisors now that come in through Linear to go on to join Primus as appointed reps. So there's a few on screen. So Angie, Steve McKernan's on there, Philip, we've got Shamina, we've got Alfie on here. What Rameez is going to show is aimed at Linear as a more permanent thing. However, it's also available to anybody else, and he'll probably show you some examples of other firms that use this. But you would have probably a separate conversation with him yourselves, you guys that are in the direct side. In terms of Linear on the more permanent side, Rameez and I have been talking over the last 2 or 3 months, and we've come up with what we hope will be a good proposition for everybody that wants to choose to be part of it. So bear that in mind when you're watching, that you're watching from a different audience angle, if you like. So Rameez, I think I've made you the host. So
Great.
you want to take over?
Yeah.
And,
Yeah,
sorry.
well, I can't promise that my Zoom skills are as good as Donald's, but I'll give it a go here. Yeah, so hi, everybody. I think some of you I've met before, some of you I haven't. So really quickly to introduce myself, I'm Rameez, the founder of Eligible. It's a company that's been around for about 3 years, and there's a lot of evolution that's happened, and some of you will have seen the very, very beginnings of the company. On myself, I know it doesn't sound like it at all, but I've been in the UK for about 20 years. I was always on the lending side. So I was at RBS for 8 years, and then I was at HSBC for 8 years. And then I set up this company. And for us, what it was always about was, can we help advisors build sort of lifetime relationships with their existing customers? So just a quick check. Can you guys now see sort of a presentation screen in front of you? Awesome. So I guess just a quick update of where we are is what the system is about is really putting you in front of your clients more often and making sure that you can be in regular contact with them. Really, we saw sort of a lot of growth in the last 9 months. So since lockdown, so when lockdown happened till the end of the year, about 600 more advisors joined the system. And we tried really hard to kind of listen to what they were saying. And I just wanted to kind of recap what their feedback seems to be. Oops, I jumped ahead slightly. So the feedback that we're hearing from advisors seems to be, number one, I'm swamped. It sounds like the stamp duty holiday happened and you guys are just flooded with leads at the moment. And there's so many inquiries coming in and they all want to get something done before the holiday ends. And then the thing that's making it harder is that cases take so much longer to get done. My favorite joke on this was somebody was saying it was like getting Glastonbury tickets. You're just staring at a loading screen for hours on end each day just to get a case over the line. So you're just busy with these cases. And then next is that because you're so busy, even if you've made down reminders to get in touch with your clients, where you used to send birthday cards and you used to do annual reviews, right now it's really easy to kick the bucket to say, you know what, I'm just going to chase this person when the product end date comes up. And I don't really keep in touch with them on an ongoing basis for the 2-year fixed or 5-year fixed period. And then third is they're really noticing that lenders are getting more cheeky, getting more aggressive about how they're pushing these clients to go direct. They're contacting them as early as 6 months out about the remortgage, and they're really trying to make that execution only process easier. So they don't have to do ID and B when they go direct, and they don't have to do all these things that they do have to do with you. And so we wanted to make something that saves you time, makes you look slick simply, and also make sure that when it comes to the remortgage, you can beat the lender. And so what it looks like is what Retain is it's just a really smart client engagement solution. So what it does is, so it's not very creative. Everywhere that you see demo brand, just visualize that these are emails coming from you going to your client. So if you have a brand, it's coming from your brand. If you're part of Linear, it's coming from a Linear logo and your name. And if you set up your own firm afterwards, it's with that branding as well. So as far as this client's concerned, you're just keeping in touch with them. And it's not just brand marketing. It's not we're Linear, we're brilliant, we're whole of market, or we have access to lots of lenders. It's really about the client. So sometimes that's, hey, just wishing you a happy new year. Hey, by the way, it's been a year since the mortgage. I wanted to check in. Hi, Sally, just wanted to wish you happy birthday. The first email the system actually sends is just 30 days after completion, which could be really glad we got your mortgage sorted. Here, if you need anything, thanks again. So these touch points are about once a month, but they're really, really personal to the client. And the client just thinks that if Kylie-Ann was the advisor, that, wow, Kylie-Ann's just great. And he checks in on me once in a while. One of the things that we added in, which both clients and advisors really like, is market updates. So for example, when payment holidays came in, this was an email that went from the advisor to the client saying, hey, you might have seen this in the news. Here's just a quick note on what it is. I'm here if you need anything. You are going to need to chat to the lender. Same thing with stamp duty holidays. If stamp duty holidays extend in March, the way that we work is that you're in control. So we shoot it to you to be like, hey, if you're getting calls about this, or if you think that it's causing confusion, this is a quick, sharp little email we can send from you to your clients. And it's usually just arm around the shoulder, just to say, hey, look, there's a lot you might be hearing right now. Here's just our quick take on it. And there's an article that you can read on it as well. And all of that we sort of create for you. Clients really, really like this. We've seen that this not only sort of builds loyalty, but it creates referrals. So a lot of the time, you'll see this with happy birthdays too. It'll just be like, thanks so much. I saw this on the news this morning. I didn't understand it. Oh, by the way, my son was thinking about a mortgage, or my cousin was thinking about a mortgage. Can I send them your way? And lastly, I think one of the things we realized is really important, that you guys are front and center. So as far as your client's concerned, we don't exist anywhere in this journey. And I'm going to jump into a version of the product now so you can see it, but you are in sort of full control of this. So that's on a few different layers. So number one, it's fully branded as you. The email that the client receives is from you. It's not from us. They reply to that email. You're going to get an email in your inbox that says, oh, hi, Kylie Ann, thanks for this email. Actually, I did want to get in touch. Also, you're fully in control. So Stephen could decide that one of his customers is got a large portfolio buy-to-lets, and he's known them for 15 years, and it's not right for this. So on an individual basis, you could always take a client off or disable their specific comms while nurturing the rest of the client bank. And then lastly, and I'll show you this in a journey, is this isn't a system that it's not like a CRM or anything where you have to use it and log into it all the time. It kind of exists in the background. So what happens, and we'll talk about this a bit more, is your data gets uploaded, emails are being sent. It's not something that you have to log into or do anything for. It's just kind of happening for you in the background. And you'll get a little nudge if one of your clients is interested in doing business. And I'll show you that in a sec. But yeah, I think I'll just stop there for a second and do a quick check-in. Does any of that sound sort of familiar or like relevant problems in terms of the feedback that we've been hearing from other advisors?
Definitely.
Great. So what I'll do is I'll just sort of jump into a sample journey. And this is where my Zoom skills are going to be sort of pushed to the limit, because I'm going to try to switch to something else. But we'll start with the slides first. So basically what's happening to make this easier is one of the things we realized is painful is that keying data into things is just, you know, you don't have time for it right now. So the way that this works is that there's a report in Toolbox, and we've done a lot of work around this where centrally, Lucy, for example, could download this report from Toolbox. And what it'll have is, it looks a lot like the new business register. So it'll be just all of the completions and all of the clients that you've done business with. And basically that'll be loaded straight into the system. So you don't have to key anything in to get this started. You basically need to sign up. But that doesn't mean start filing to your clients. One of the things we learned is just because of migrations, you went from Momentum to Toolbox, sometimes data gets corrupted. And so we built a lot of rules that checks and cleans the data. So for example, everybody always finds that the end dates with nationwide products are a little bit off. So we built rules that tidy that up. We do things like when we receive their property address, we actually go to the postcode database and change it to the structured property address. So little things that we do to tidy the data up. And then we've also built a lot of rules to basically check for duplicates. So if you loaded data into, or Lucy loaded data into the system, and we saw a client of Stevens that for some reason it looked like it was a duplicate, the system would just grab that and it would put it back to Lucy to be like, hey, can you just check these two because something about this doesn't feel right. And I guess why I'm talking about this is there's a lot of rules in the system to make sure the data is in the best shape possible, to make sure we're sending the right email at the right time. Because the worst thing we could do is send the wrong email to the wrong client, and it doesn't make you look good. And this is all about making you look good. So then what happens is now your client data is living in the system. And when the time is right, and I'm going to start with the remortgage journey and then talk a little bit more about how it works more broadly. What'll happen is this is an example of the kind of email that your client would see, right? And this isn't very creative. It's called Demo Financial Services, but just this would be your logo. This would be your colors. The client here is Sally. The advisor here is Steve. And as I've been saying, as far as Sally's concerned, it's just her helpful advisor, Steve, reaching out. And now the interesting thing we learned is that clients look at our emails for about 3 seconds. So if Sally is going for a walk right now because, well, there's nothing else she can really do. So that's the only sort of activity she has, and she's going for a walk and she decides to check her emails. just because she got an email from Steve that was interesting, and she's like, okay, it's something about Halifax, and oh, it's expired and my payments are going to increase. She's not going to just drop what she's doing and call Steve back, even though that's what we want her to do. But instead, if you guys see this sort of really big obvious button that says see my mortgage, she's actually really likely to click that. So she'll be like, okay, it's about my Halifax mortgage. It's from Steve at Demo Financial Services. Let me click and see what this is about. And basically when she clicks that, what we're able to do is we're able to send her to a branded website that we've created for you. And again, it's your website. We don't exist. And the whole purpose of this website is to warm her up a little bit further. So I'm going to now try very bravely to switch to one, and we'll see how we go. Can you guys now see something that says your current situation on it?
I think you'll have to unshare your screen, Rameez. If you do unshare and then reshare. Yeah, that's it.
All right. Okay, that could have been more painful, but we did all right there.
That's good. Yeah.
Basically, this is an example of what the website could look like. So you got a client, Jody. Jody got an email from her advisor. It looked important. And the system's quite clever in that it knows what to show them. And really what we're showing them is content. So we consider a calculator content, and we consider helpful articles content. We don't show them products. We don't show them best by tables, nothing to do with that. We're just trying to remind them why they should click this arrange a call button to actually get booked in with you. And while it's a website, it's actually what we call a web app, which means if I squeeze the screen, this is what it would look like on their mobile. And you'll notice this arrange a call button is like pinned to the bottom. So it feels like you just created this app for your client, but all of this is just coming with the system. And we're trying to get them to click this arrange a call button. So we're trying to figure out what's the thing that's going to warm them up to get them to click the button. And so what it does is the system knows. So for example, Jody here has a platform mortgage. It had an initial term of 27 months. Honestly, she doesn't remember any of this stuff, but the initial term is going to end soon. So you've been trying to chase her. She isn't answering. You've left her voicemails. So it's trying to create a bit of urgency. So it's saying, listen, you're paying 160 quid a month. What we're doing is we're using sourcing data to track her SVR rate. So we can help her understand that, look, your payments are going to increase to 500 quid. That's why I've been chasing you. And we're trying to get her to click this button. But if she doesn't, what we do is we have different articles. And it's kind of like, you know how if you buy something on Amazon, it can recommend other products to you? It's sort of similar in that the system has a good idea of what articles to show these clients to remind them why they should get advice. So for example, with a month left to go, she's probably done some of her own research. She might have gone to a comparison website. She might have gone direct. So we have an article that says, you know, mortgage products, what you need to know. And this isn't trying to tell her what to do. It's basically trying to remind her that, look, there are hundreds of products out there and there's so many things you need to think about. You need to think about whether it's a fixed rate, how long the term is, if you're repaying it, do you understand what interest only is? By the way, all of these products have different features and benefits. And the last words of this are advice helps. And Jody will read this and she'll be like, yeah, you know what? Actually, I don't understand all of this. I'm just going to click a button and see what my advisor thinks. When she clicks that, we can ask her a few questions just to figure out if it's a PT, and really so it doesn't feel like a cold call for you. So have you made all your payments? No, I took a holiday. No, I'm not really looking to move homes. I haven't taken any new loans. And oh, actually protection, I don't know much about that. Yeah, sure, that would be interesting. And that's sort of her journey. It's sort of really quick, sharp, and simple. For you, as I said, we know that you guys don't want another tech system. Like you have enough lender portals and CRMs to be dealing with. So what'll happen is when she clicked that arrange a call button, you're just going to get an email in your inbox, and I'll pull up an example that'll look something like this. So the client was Jody, right? It's very obviously from the system, so you're not going to confuse it with the other things that you're working on, and you'll be like, oh, you know, you've been on hold to NatWest for 2 hours, and all of a sudden you're just going to get this email that says, hey, one of your clients wants a call, and it's like, okay, brilliant. Now, if you know Jody and you have her number to hand, you can call her right then and there. But what you can also do is you can click a button in the email. And what we've done is we've created a sort of version of the product for you. And basically what it is, and some of you will know this and have used this before, is it's just a really smart list that helps you manage your client bank. And so what it looks like is, do you guys now see something that says my leads on it?
Yeah.
So all this is this is a list of your clients. And what it does is it just kind of sorts them, not by expiry, but based on where the business is. So Jody, a minute ago, requested a call. So that's why Jody's top of the list. You got an email about it and you jumped in. And what we do is if you click inside, without having to jump back to the case file or opening up a CRM, you've got her telephone number here if you don't have it. The other thing we did is we wanted to make sure that it was really easy for you to pick up where the system left off. So any emails that we've sent Jody, you can literally read the exact email that she was sent. This is being a bit slow. Oh, there we were. It just loaded. So you can read what Jody read. So if you call Jody and she says, "Oh, I got your email this morning. Thanks so much." You can actually read the exact email. So it's nice and simple. And then also any figures we've shown her. So if you remember that sort of 160, 500 example I gave you, you can see that. So if she says, "Oh, how come my payments are going to increase to 500 quid?" You sort of have the context and you can jump right in. And basically, once you're inside this list, there's not really much you need to do. It's just a click to tell the system what happened so it knows what to do next. So for example, Jody requested a call, so I gave her a bell. We spoke. Did you get in touch with her? If you said no, the system would know that it could keep chasing her on her mortgage. If you said, "Yeah, I spoke to her, and you know what, we're going to go ahead and start the case. We're just going to do the PT because we've run out of time." You click, "Yeah, I'm starting the case." You press submit. You get a bit of confetti because why not? We did some business. We can celebrate. But that's it. Jody's now gone from the list. And that's the product. For you guys, it's just a list. It's just trying to show you where the business is really quick. And once the business is started, you can let the system know and then it won't send any more chaser emails. So I guess what I wanted to do really quickly, I'll just stop sharing and switch back to the presentation. That was very much the sort of sharp end of the stick where the remortgage journey is. I wanted to show you guys sort of earlier in the process, the kind of nurturing that we're doing. If you just give me 2 ticks. So what we saw happening was that what advisors were doing is that they do a case, and then really because they were so busy on all of the other cases, they only were really getting back in touch with clients around 6 months or 5 months before product expiry. And they would say to us, "You know, I used to send birthday cards and I used to do annual reviews, but I just can't anymore. I went on holiday and then it sort of slipped through the cracks." And so they were like, "Look, we don't want you to just warm clients up here. Can you not warm them up for the life of the mortgage?" And so that's what we've now built. What's happening is, so you're in Toolbox, you're completing a case. Lucy's now loading that data into our system. After all the cleaning is done, the first email that the system is going to send is from Stephen to the client that just says, "Hey, glad we got the mortgage sorted. Here if you need anything. If you have any questions, let me know." It's going to send annual reviews. It's going to send happy birthdays. As I said, one of the things clients really like that we found is market updates. It can put articles, recommend articles about what is protection, what is critical illness, what is GI, just so it can explain some of the other products that you may not have been able to talk to them about. It can very subtly prompt them for renewals. And again, we see this a lot with birthdays and news updates. And it can also try to figure out if they're thinking of switching early or selling their property. And so again, these are very infrequent comms. You're talking about on average once a month. And the experience we're trying to create is that for your clients, you're a relationship manager in their pocket. So they're just having this experience. Advisor is checking in on them once in a while, wishing them happy birthday, annual reviews. Sometimes it might be something like, "Hey, we noticed your LTV dropped into a new bracket. If you ever want to understand how that could open up some new options, I'm always here for a quick chat." And for you, it's not a big bulky system. It's an email that tells you where the business is. And behind that, there's a list. It tells you, call Evelyn about protection, call Eva about the mortgage. And then for all of your other clients, it makes it just really, really easy. If you want to do any outbound calling, just to give a go to some of your clients while you're waiting on something, you'll know which ones are warmed up and which ones are engaged, so you can try them as well. And that's it. I don't know if I made my time. I might have run over slightly, but I'll stop right there to take any questions, and then we can talk about what the commercials look like and how all of that works.
Okay, do you want to close the presentation down, Rameez, so we'll get everybody back on screen?
Yep.
And so on. thank you very much for that. I thought that was a really good demonstration of the capabilities of the system, what it can do. Sometimes on calls like this, asking for questions, which we will do, is fine, but people might want to go away and maybe even view that again on the recording that we'll send out, just to, and if they have questions, then maybe come back in. But yeah, stick your hands up if you've got a question, guys, on this initially. Philip?
Is this going to be built into Toolbox, or is this going to be standalone?
Standalone.
And what sort of cost is it going to be?
We'll find out in a minute.
I like it. It looks good.
It's actually, there's some of the larger firms within the network have taken the system on. Firms that I know, are pretty large. It's a very good way of just keeping that contact maintained with customers, because the bigger firms know that advisors don't often have the time to do it on that consistent, regular basis. Might do it ad hoc, but not as regularly. So, anybody else questions for the minute? Okay, I'll quieten the questions front. So, Rameez, do you want to talk about what the commercials would normally look like in a sole trader firm, whatever? Oh, you're on mute.
Thanks. Yeah, absolutely. So essentially, the way this works, it's just a flat fee. It's a fixed monthly price. Now, that monthly price is linked to volume, so we'll get back to that. But roughly, usually what it looks like for an individual business, the starting price is around £49 a month. Now, one of the benefits of, I think, being part of Linear is that with Donald, we've negotiated something that would give you a bit of a discount to that, a fair bit of a discount to that. And it's an economies of scale, essentially. So the sort of more people that sign up within Linear, the more that potential discount could be. So if you were to go sort of directly to us outside of Linear, and there's lots of sort of one-man band DAs that use us, that starting price is around £49 a month. It should be a fair bit lower for you here. And the way advisors tend to think about that is basically, this thing can bring me one more case a year. It'll probably cover its costs. Now, hopefully it can do more than that, and it's saving you a ton of time as well. But actually, hopefully it's pretty comfortable for it to cover its costs. And I did actually, one thing I skipped over, I'll show you some testimonials, because as well as the large businesses that use us, there are in fact a lot of one-man, two-man businesses that use us as well. So Home and Holiday House, Mark and Joe, they're based in Bristol. They're great. They turned us on, and there's actually a client that they were basically given up on, and the system won them back in the first month. And basically they cover their cost of the year in the first month of using the product. And then another piece of feedback that I think is important that George gave us at Vesta, who's a TMA DA, was just that he found it really easy. So a lot of this stuff, we'll do the heavy lifting. The system will exist in the background. It's not this big clunky thing that's slowing you down from getting cases over the line. It's sort of hopefully getting that off your plate altogether, the keeping in touch bit.
Okay, so yeah, so obviously with Linear, there's a large client base there. Linear will look to make a contribution towards costs on this, and I want to do things fairly as well. So in terms of the advisors, the existing advisors, and what customer base you've got, I'll come out to each of you individually, have a chat with you, and we would look to do it proportionately to the size of somebody's customer base. So it's, as I really have a think about how you want to present yourself to your customers on an ongoing basis. I think this offers a great opportunity to do it at a good price. And over the course of the next couple of weeks, we'll try and get back from you who would like to be part of it, and we'll take it on from there.
Great.
Okay.
Right. Well, thank you very much. And it goes without saying, for anyone that wants to, on a one-to-one basis, talk things through or dig into how it all works a bit more, or see some of the comms, happy to run through it with you.
We'll share that contact detail out, Rameez, when we send out the recording of this one. So we'll copy you in.
Great. Alrighty, thanks so much, guys. Happy New Year.
Thanks, Rameez. Cheers.
Cheers.
Who shall I make the host?
Steve.
Make me the host again, Rameez.
Okay.
Cheers. Right, guys. Am I the host again? Let's have a look. Yes, I am. Right. I've got a couple of things just to share with you briefly, and then we'll have a look and go around and see what everyone else has got. Any questions or anything else they want to share with us. So if you just bear with me a second, I'll find what I'm looking for. Here we go. Yeah. So one of these things I've mentioned before, but I noticed today that it's available again. So on this one. Yeah, iPipeline. I went on a webinar with these guys probably about two and a half months ago now. And on one of these Zoom calls, I've told people about it. When I went on today, and some of you may have seen this anyway, but there are 3 new webinars, he says, just looking to hopefully show you. Just bear with me. And I'd recommend that you go on them if you haven't done, because you'll learn an awful lot. Now they're not coming up. That's typical, isn't it? Unless it comes up on this bit. Let's see if it comes on this page. No, it hasn't done. Right. I'll send something out to you, but hopefully you can see this. There are 2 different webinars. One of them, which is Wednesday, January the 20th, is about Solution Builder and how it works in conjunction with CI Expert. Can you see that on the screen? Yeah. And the other one is the one that I've done previously, which was really useful. There's 2 of these. There's Tuesday, January the 19th. I can't remember the other one. It talks about the risk and mortgage protection report. So the risk report that you can produce from Solution Builder. Talks about the different ways of producing quotes, the product features report, the X-ray system, which is where you can basically put in clients' details and it'll give you an indication as to what sort of loadings there'll be from the different providers. And this next bit, which it wasn't on the one I went on, talks about how you can use it in relation to helping with compliance and suitability letters. So I will send something out, but I'd really, really commend that to you to go on one, if not both of those, if you've got the time. And they're not long, you know, an hour there, but it would certainly help me. The other thing I wanted to share with you guys is really just to tell you about this, and it's something I'm thinking of doing. And really, I'm just sharing it to see if anybody else will potentially be interested. I know Kylie Ann did hers last year, and I've recently completed my equity release qualification. I'm now looking at doing this, the certificate in protection. So the London Institute of Banking and Finance have come out with a new qualification that's basically protection related. It won't be massively demanding because it's a level 3 qualification. There is some money involved, which you can see. 210 quid is the membership for the year, as well as all the learning materials. And there are 2 parts to the exam. So you do a 2-hour multiple choice exam, as it says there. So it is a couple of £100. You do get to be able to use whatever letters they are after your name afterwards. Can't remember, but anyway, they're there. So it's Cert Pro, I think that's it. It's something I'm very seriously considering doing. And again, I will send something out, but it'd be interesting and probably a bit more enjoyable if there were a few of us doing it at the same time. It's something else that other people want to do, because speaking personally, you know, I had a really good year last year, the best year I've ever had, but I could certainly still do more protection. And I should be doing more protection than I am. And if that sounds like Richard Cullison, then that's probably because he'd say I should be doing even more. I need to put some swear words in it. So there you go. That's the 2 things I wanted to share with you. Oh no, one more, sorry. Last one is around Yeah. We've touched on advertising and various different things. I just wanted to show you what, I've had no real social media presence over Christmas and New Year, and then just started again at the beginning of this week, because I wasn't very well, basically. But I decided to spend a bit of money. Now, it is a bit of money, £4.57 I've spent so far on this advert. So hopefully you can see on there, Stephen Dillon, good news. So I posted this on Facebook. I used the Coventry re-enters the 90% loan to value market, deliberately used the Coventry bit because nobody's going to approach Coventry direct. I'm not even sure if they can. And telling clients I can now access 19 mortgage lenders offering 90% loan to value mortgages for first time buyers, 15 offering them to home movers, and 12 offering remortgages. Yeah, so I set myself a budget of 10 quid. It spent £4 odd so far. Look at that. It's been on it's been on 2 days. It's reached 791 people and had 102 engagements. Right, and that's cost me £4.57 so far. All right, and look, message. All right, Shane Tick, Alex Godfrey is a client of mine. He's linked someone he knows into it. Stephen sorted mine out, top class if you need someone. I put Shane, I'll be delighted to help. Guess what? He's been in touch with me. All right, it's not rocket science. It's not that difficult. All right, you just need to put a bit of time aside. Here's another one that I put on. That's just a review. Best part of my work, happy clients. I didn't spend any money on that. 188 people reached, 20 engagements. All right, and again, a comment from someone. All right, but that's the important one. Don't be afraid to have a bit of a go with it. All right, that has got me business already. Yeah, and it took me 5 minutes, and I'm no expert on it, but I do it consistently, and I get a lot of business. And I know Kylie Ann gets basically all of her business from social media. So there you go. Enough from me. Donald, anything you want to add?
No, nothing for me. I've said plenty. Get floor to the guys.
So let's go around and anybody got anything they want to ask? Anybody got anything they want to share? We've just gone past 3 o'clock. So if there are any questions in relation to newbies, as I refer to them.
Yes, please. Can you hear me?
Whoever that is, put yourself back on mute. Right. With the newbies, we'll stay on after we finish in a few minutes' time. So anybody's got any questions in relation to newbies, I'll stay on with them and we can look at anything you want. But in relation to anyone else, anybody, anything they want to share with us or to ask? Back to you, Angie.
Sorry, I was about to just send a chat message. So what's the discount we get for this, phone thing? I've lost my brain at the minute, sorry.
You mean the eligible system?
Yes, that's it, yes. How much are we getting for that? How much discount are we getting off that then, if we had it? Because I'm at the moment looking at the CRM systems and I've had a couple of demos and stuff, so I'm just checking out everything that I want to use.
So because under the Linear Direct, were you joining Linear to then become an AR with Primus yourself, you would need to speak with Rameez about an individual account. So his pricing starts at £49 a month for a sole trader. So
thanks, Angie.
I mean, under Linear, what I'm hoping to be able to offer is probably about half of that to permanent Linear advisors. But it'll probably adjust a little bit. It depends on the size of your client banks, to be honest. So I've got a bit of a budget figure from the directors that says, right, Linear can spend this amount. So then it's a case of I have to do my arithmetic a bit to work out how many advisors would need to sign up and how much you need to pay. But it's.
Thanks, Darryl. Cassia, anything from you?
No, nothing from me. Thank you.
All right. Steve, what about you? You've unmuted yourself. Just nod or shake. I'll take it as a no. Now you've disappeared altogether. Philip?
No, nothing from me.
All right, thanks, mate. Max?
No, not for me. All good.
Pat?
No, I'm fine. I'm fine now. I think I've asked everything. Oh, one thing.
Too late, muted you. No, only joking. Go on, carry on. No, you are on mute. I have muted you, but I was only messing about. Got to unmute yourself. We can't hear you. Now you're still muted.
Yes.
I've known you 5.5 years, and I've wanted to do that ever since then.
You just wish you can do it now virtually, can't you? But in a meeting, it's impossible. Yeah, no, all I was going to say, we've got Retain at the moment, haven't we, for free?
No, the version that you've got at the moment is about mortgage, when the mortgage product is coming to an end. It's about 6 months before. The new version is like a end-to-end and an ongoing management.
I know, because I was thinking, can I do all that with the current version if I looked at it? But
no, you can't.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah.
Thanks, Pat. Shamina?
No, nothing from me. Thank you.
Okay. Alfie?
I'm all good, thank you.
Okay, is that everyone? Yeah, that's everyone. So anybody that wants to stop on, talk about anything practical, toolbox, anything like that, by all means do. I'll stay on. If I'm the only person, then obviously I'll leave. Thanks very much, everyone. Catch you later.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Cheers.
Me?
Oh, number 2.
Hi, Steve. You okay?
Right. Yes, I'm fine, thank you. As you're the only one who stopped on, then I'm going to stop the recording.
Yes,
I'm not going to share it. So anything you want to know about is just between me and you, and the rest of them can get knotted.
No, because
so
the last
recording. Just